stepping in
spectacular,
as well.
over the top. I mean, that was a full force shot to the temple. I mean, he's right now. So they wipe off his gloves, but you look at him like he's really feeling it right now. I mean, he probably has no idea where he is.
When I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter.
Likely that one big shot's gonna land if the guy's not throwing other shots. So I thought with less artillery in the air, less bombs in the air, that the guy would have a chance to get to later rounds.
Anthony Joshua being linked with the so-called circus fight against Jake Paul divided the boxing world. Critics immediately pointed out the massive size, experience, and pedigree gap. Joshua is a two-time heavyweight champion and Olympic gold medalist, while Jake Paul is still learning the sport. Many labeled the matchup entertainment, not real boxing.
Well, realistically, it's one of the craziest propositions of all time. You take a guy who just had a boxing match that looks like a sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists.
Simon Jordan reacted strongly after Joshua broke Jake Paul's jaw. He said fights like this damage boxing's credibility and blur the line between sport and spectacle. Jordan stressed that Joshua has already secured legacy and wealth, so he does not need novelty fights.
Just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you that, Jake, what's going to happen? I'm going to see a time when I'm going to take your soul, and you're either going to give up or you're going to get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct...
Joe Rogan reacted with laughter alongside Anthony Joshua, calling the fight a clear mismatch. Rogan explained that Jake usually faces retired fighters or MMA opponents, not elite Olympic heavyweight champions. From a boxing perspective, Rogan said the outcome was obvious before the first punch.
After the fight, I heard the question being posed to Joshua, will he now fight Fury? And then my first thought was, after what I've seen, who cares? After that, who cares if Joshua fights Fury? I like Anthony Joshua immensely, Spencer. Any exchanges I've had with him, I think he comes across terrifically well. But I fail to see where it's taken us, where it's taken him, other than hugely increasing his bank balance. You know, I really fail to see what this has done.
Well, it's done nothing, but he was going to fight in November, like I said, and he's just gone in there against Jake Paul. What has it done for his legacy? Absolutely zero. But it was, you know, he's earned a lot of money doing that. And he's going to go again and he's going to fight possibly February, March. And then there's that Tyson Fury fight that's looming that could happen in September, whether Tyson Fury decides to come out of retirement or not come out of retirement. For Anthony Joshua, he's earned a hell of a lot of money. This is prize fighting, and that's what it's all about.
Joe Rogan praised Anthony Joshua's speed, athleticism, and knockout power. He said Joshua moves like a much lighter fighter while carrying devastating power, making him a nightmare matchup for crossover boxers. Adam Booth offered a balanced analysis.
6 rounds to get Paul out of there. Reputationally, how does it leave AJ?
Well, thankfully, it didn't go to points, because I think that would have been a disaster for Anthony Joshua. I think that he needed to get the job done inside the distance, you know, and he done it. Look, he could have done it at any given point. I think that he could have cut the ring off whenever he wanted to and got Jake Paul out of there. He took his time on that. He allowed Jake Paul to run around like a rabbit and throw the occasional shot from time to time. And I think he only landed one clean punch, didn't he, Anthony Joshua? And that was the one that broke his jaw in 2 places.
But I mean, you said, did you not, to us in this very studio the other day, he's got to get him out of there in round 1.
I did.
Otherwise, what are we seeing?
Exactly that. You know, and I think what we saw there was a little bit of entertainment. And that was pretty much it, but not entertainment that many people enjoyed, if I'm honest. I think that people wanted to see.
This is a giant Olympic gold medalist heavyweight. I mean, Anthony Joshua is
Here's
terrifying.
the thing that nightmares are made of.
And he's got that one-punch nuclear power. One punch.
Noting Jake Paul did make Joshua miss at times. He credited Jake's footwork, discipline, and preparation, saying those moments showed real progress. However, Booth made it clear these flashes did not change the overall reality of the fight. After the fight, Anthony Joshua stated that the knockout actually saved Jake Paul.
Rounds that we saw, presuming you watched?
I was impressed with Jake Paul. I thought that, following on from what we're saying, right,
a few years ago, he was on Disney as a kid, acting up, and has decided to become a professional fighter. That takes balls, but he's obviously striving to be as good as he can be. You can see that in the way that he moves, the way that he is developed in how he's punching and performing. But to make a two-time world heavyweight champion that's still live, AJ's still got something about him, to make him miss in such an accomplished manner. All right, so at times he was jumping out and running around, but there were times when he was well in range and still making AJ unable to land a clean, solid shot. He deserves a lot of respect for that. And then the shot that actually finished the fight, that broke his jaw quite badly, didn't put him out. That shot he threw with serious intention has put a lot of professional heavyweights to sleep. He didn't go to sleep. He actually finished on his knees, didn't he? Laughing and spitting blood out of his mouth. So, like they say, it's a special type of crazy and a special type of brave to do it. But I actually, hats off to him, because he showed that he's developing some accomplished little skills in there to look after himself. The size difference is always going to fatigue him.
I know everyone will come with the idea that, AJ should just go in there one round and smash him to bits, and that should be it was a big ring, right? Perhaps he could have cut the ring off a bit better, but would I be right in saying that regardless of skill level, if you forget about that with the two for a second, if someone is on the back foot on their bike and doing what Jake was doing, it's difficult no matter who you are.
Tried to win. Jake Paul didn't try to win at any point during the fight. He was just trying to survive, and I think that's actually ultimately going to hurt him with boxing fans.
What do you think, Paulie? I mean, you talked about the in and out kind of style, kind of hits and runs, and you said that A, it runs out your legs. He was exhausted a couple rounds into the fight, and B, it only saved him for so long.
He doesn't have the boxing skills to box on the move anyway. Once I saw the big ring, I knew he was going to run for his life. When you're that much of a novice, which obviously it's not even an insult to him, it's just lack of experience. But when you're that much of a novice, you either know how to run for your life or fight all out. You don't have that in between yet. You haven't developed enough of that in between boxing acumen to really pull that off. And so what ends up happening? You're either going to fight your ass off and you'll last a minute. Chris, you're being generous. Round two, he would have got knocked out in round one if he would have fought. But at least he would have fought. He would have got the respect of the people and more importantly, the boxing community instead of these clowns that follow him and are still defending him. Now what happens is you didn't get any respect as a fighter. You didn't get any respect as a fighter because you didn't try to fight at all. If he would have, I was watching that through 2-3 rounds. I'm thinking to myself, this guy would do this for 8 rounds if he can. If he can do this for 8 rounds, absolutely not fight at all, absolutely not engage a single time in 8 rounds, he will actually do this. And he'll do it shamelessly. And that's the problem. That's the problem. The shamelessness of his approach to the fight. You're gonna be a fighter, then don't make an ass out of the whole sport, out of the whole business, and out of yourself first and foremost. Because in the end, what happens? You got his jaw broke anyway. So what ends up happening? What's the worst that's gonna happen? You're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get knocked out? You got hurt and you got knocked out anyway. But you just prolong the inevitable.
He explained that if the fight continued, the damage would have been far worse both mentally and physically. Attention then shifted to Logan Paul talking about revenge and hinting at a fight with Joshua. Analysts dismissed the idea as even more one-sided than Jake's bout. The consensus was clear. A Logan versus Joshua fight would cross from spectacle into complete farce.